There is something about New York that's very difficult to explain unless you actually live here. People see the skyline, luxury stores, beautiful restaurants, rooftop views, fashion, successful people, and yes, all of that exists here. But New York is also a city where people work incredibly hard. Behind every beautiful photo, every nice apartment, every successful person, there is usually years of pressure, sacrifice, stress, and constant movement. This city moves fast, sometimes too fast, and I think that's why people either deeply love New York or they leave feeling exhausted by it. But I don't want this video to be negative because honestly, New York gave me opportunities I could never imagine before. This city pushes people, it forces you to grow, it forces you to become stronger, it forces you to learn how to survive, adapt, communicate, and keep moving even when life feels difficult. And that's probably why so many ambitious people come here from all over the world. Some people come with money, some people come with nothing. But almost everybody comes here hoping for a better life somehow. And what's interesting is that New York doesn't really care where you come from. People here judge you more by your energy, your work ethic, your ambitions, your confidence. Of course, there is also pressure here, a lot of pressure. People compare themselves constantly. Social media made that even crazier. You see luxury everywhere, money everywhere, success everywhere. New York has one of the highest numbers of millionaires and billionaires in the world, and sometimes you can really feel that energy around the city. But at the same time, there are also people working 2 or 3 jobs just trying to survive. And somehow both realities exist right next to each other every single day. That's New York. Not perfect, not easy, but it's real. So today let me take you through my day in New York. So yeah, for those who don't know me, I'm a content creator and photographer here in New York City. A big part of my life is creating content around the city. Restaurants, museums, rooftops, events, hidden spots, random moments around Manhattan, Brooklyn, honestly a little bit of everything. Sometimes I get invited to collaborations, openings, media events, and honestly that part is really fun because New York always has something happening. One day you are walking through a quiet street with coffee, and the next day you are at some beautiful event surrounded by cameras, influencers, and people networking. But at the same time, I also photograph people here in New York. Couples, families, tourists, proposal, people visiting the city for the first time. And I think being a photographer actually made me see New York very differently. So today I'm just taking you with me through a normal day in New York City. Honestly, if somebody told me years ago that one day I would be walking red carpets in New York, getting invited to beautiful restaurants, premiere rooftop events, and creative experience, I probably wouldn't believe them. And one thing I really love about content creation is that it introduced me to so many places I would never even know existed otherwise. Sometimes we get invited to those really creative experiences too. Recently I made an I Love New York rug, which was honestly so fun. And of course, I also love the food part. New York has some incredible restaurants, and being able to try different places around the city become one of my favorite parts of this whole experience. And honestly, I don't want to show only the fun parts of New York or content creation because a lot of time here actually happens between work, running from one session to another, carrying heavy camera bags all day, answering emails on the subway, editing late at night. grabbing coffee or dinner alone between sessions because there is no time to slow down. Sometimes the day moves so fast you don't even realize how tired you are until you finally sit down for a second. And I think that's the reality for a lot of people in New York. Everybody is trying to balance work, life, money, goals, and somehow still enjoy the city at the same time. Recently, I got invited to a premiere for The Four Sides, and honestly, moments like that still feels a little unreal sometimes. That's one thing about New York, the city constantly surprises you. You can have the most normal day running around, answering emails, taking the subway, and then suddenly at night you are walking into a premiere surrounded by actors, photographers, media, cameras, and all this energy. And of course, it's exciting meeting celebrities and taking pictures with them. I grabbed coffee and reloaded my Omni card because if you live in New York, the subway becomes part of your daily life, whether you like it or not. And of course, I literally missed my train by a few seconds. That's another very New York experience. You see the train doors closing right in front of you, and for a second it feels like the biggest personal betrayal of the day. So while waiting for the next train, I was just walking through the station, and that's another thing I actually love about New York. There is always something happening underground. Sometimes you hear a violin player, sometimes some days breakdancing, sometimes it's just three random guys turning buckets into a full drum performance. So after the subway, I ended up around 42nd Street and started walking towards Bryant Park. Bryant Park is probably one of my favorite places in Midtown during summer. There is always something happening here. Movie nights, dance nights, people playing chess, people working remotely, friends sitting on the lawn after work. It somehow feels calmer than the rest of Midtown, even though you are surrounded by skyscrapers and thousands of people. And right now they started the summer dance parties here, which look really fun. Random people dancing together in the middle of Manhattan after work.
I used to go there all the time.
Open. 1, 2, 3. 5, 6, 7. There you go. 1, 2, 3. 5, 6, 7. That's it. Open a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. If you're in the front, actually, can we open up a little bit more? You 1, 2, 3. 5, 6, 7. There you go. 1, 2, 3. 5, 6, 7. 1, 2. And if you're in the front row, everybody come down so more people can see it. Yeah.
A little bit. The first one. There you go.
So it's okay. We clean. Some coffee. Woo, woo.
After that, I walked back towards Times Square. It was already getting late, the lights were getting brighter, tourists everywhere, people still rushing around, even at night. And I wanted to show you one place that's become pretty famous here. It's called Ellen's Stardust Diner. Let's just walk around. We're gonna listening New York noises, and then we're gonna go straight to the diner.
Where you from? Did you enjoy the show? Yes, you did. What didn't you enjoy? Nothing? No dancing? Go back to your spot. And you, step up. Birthday guy, get over there. You're welcome, brother. Happy birthday again. You, step up. Where you from? London, England. Did you enjoy the show? Show us how much London, England. No. That was for the show. This is for your insurance. I'm using our money. Here we go. England, London just gave the 50. The 50.
Little princess, all the way to the front. Yes, princess, you're safe right now, okay? You are Mexican for 5 minutes. Yes, guys, give me some space, give me some space. Perfect. Are you guys ready? Guys in the line, listen up. Everybody in the crowd donated except for you guys. It's your turn. Only can say the little princess. They're safe no matter what. Guys, it's a simple rule. $20.
So now we're going to Ellen's Stardust Diner. The atmosphere is the main reason people love it. The servers sing live inside the restaurant, and some of them are actually Broadway performance or trying to become performance. So the entire place kind of feel like a mini musical happening while you eat, which is amazing.
He knows his way in the dark. Mine is the way of the Lord. Of course you follow the.
Lately, I've been trying to take YouTube more seriously, not just posting random clips, but actually creating longer videos documenting life in New York. And honestly, one thing nobody really talks about when you start creating more content is how fast video files destroy your storage. Like, seriously, one day your laptop is perfectly fine, and then suddenly you have hundreds of gigabytes of footage. So I realized I definitely need a bigger hard drive if I'm going to keep filming constantly. I ended up going to the Oculus because I wanted to check one of the tech stores there, but of course, very New York moment again.
Apple Store didn't let me in. It's exactly 8:01 and they just closed. So I'll have to come back tomorrow. I'm like, please, I just want to get hard drive. I know exactly what I want. But they didn't let me. All the stores are closed exactly at 8 o'clock. At the Oculus, everything is closed. That's it. It's only open for the train to go to New Jersey. So today I had a really productive day. I was working. I had 3 sessions today, and then I went to a dance party at the Bryant Park. Then I walk around Times Square. It's supposed to be rain today, but the weather changed. Okay, so The escalator here is not working. How to get out? We're gonna take stairs. Let's go up. We're gonna get out from the Oculus. Oculus located in downtown. And let's go outside. How many steps New Yorkers do every day? Sometimes I make 10,000, sometimes 15, sometimes 20. Now behind me you can see Oculus and World Trade Center. It's so pretty at night time. I stopped for a tea and ice cream because I already ate earlier at home and honestly just wanted something small. No rush, no subway stress, no filming pressure. So the next day honestly became one of those very classic New York days where everything happened at once. Right now, all over the city, there is promotion for The Devil Wears Prada 2, and they place this giant red heel shoe installation that honestly becomes such a popular photo spot. So I wanted to see it before they remove it. That morning I had an early photo session, and after that I was running around the city trying to organize my day because somehow I ended up with 3 sessions. A movie screening and an event all basically at the same time. Before that, I stopped to grab a breakfast because I was completely rushing around all day and needed something fast before the next session.
You know what? We're gonna get egg, sausage, and avocado.
Everything, onion, whole wheat, some raisins, sesame, plain.
You know what? Let's do plain.
Plain?
Yeah.
Would you like a toast though?
Yeah.
Then I went back to the Oculus area because I was still searching for a hard drive for my videos. And I checked the Apple store, but they didn't really have what I wanted. So they suggested I should probably check B&H or Best Buy instead. After that, I had another photo tour. And it was one of those extremely sunny, crowded Manhattan days. Beautiful weather, but really harsh light and so many people everywhere. Hey, so I'm sitting here at the park, City Hall Park. I just finished mini session at the Union Square with the red shoe. We had so much fun. It's so cool over there. Today is the day when you can see The Devil Wears Prada on a big screens. Today it's May 1st. So now I'm gonna have a photo tour, 4 hours photo tour, and after that AMC invited me to watch the movie. So I'm gonna go there after work. It's like all day. I woke up at 5 and all day running. That's the life to be a content creator and photographer in New York. You're always busy. So I had session from 8 to 9. Then I came here at 10. The client's a little late. They're gonna arrive at 10:30 because the Uber taxi got flat tire. And we're gonna have 4 hours tour. And then I have to be in Times Square at 2:30, but we're gonna finish our tour in Long Island City at 2 o'clock. It's pretty crazy. Then I have to find the hard drive. B&H is closed today, so I don't know. Am I gonna go to Best Buy? Just keep running, eating while you're running. It's crazy. That's life in New York. It's not easy how it seems. You're always in a rush.
Okay, nice. Ready. Guys, can you please move more towards me this way?
So after the session, I was rushing through the city trying to make it to AMC on time. And I was actually so excited walking into the theater because I realized I don't even remember the last time I watched a movie in theaters. Very New York again. Always working, always moving, always thinking about the next thing. But honestly, it was fun, nice movie, good atmosphere, and for a couple of hours, my brain finally stopped thinking about work.
For you guys.
It's a good thing. The clock is ticking. You give me the number if I stop talking? Yes, you do have the information. My boss is better than your boss.
By the end of the day, I was honestly completely exhausted, but I still had one more event to photograph. And after carrying cameras, lenses, and flash equipment around the city all day, I could really feel it in my back, shoulders, and arms. Event photography is fun, but after a few hours holding heavy equipment non-stop, your whole body definitely feels it. The event itself was around 4 hours, and by the end, I was seriously ready to go home. So the next morning started really early again. One thing I love in New York during spring is the Macy's Flower Show. They decorate parts of the store with flowers and colorful displays, and it looks really beautiful. But I couldn't stay too long because I had to run back to the subway again. I grabbed coffee and headed downtown for the 5-borough bike tour. I had press access, so I wanted to be there early to capture everything before the street got too packed. The bikes, the riders, the media, the police, and all the energy before the tour started. This year felt even more special because the mayor of New York was also participating in the ride. So there was a lot of happening around the start area.
Commissioner Flynn! And you know who else is registered as an organ donor? Mayor Zoran Mamdani! So register! Let's live on New York and let's ride!
Next, I'd like to welcome the mayor of New York City. Yeah! The Honorable Zoran Mamdani! Good morning, everybody! It is such a pleasure to be back at the 5-borough bike tour, and I'm so excited today to apparently be making some history as the first sitting mayor to be riding with you for the whole way. And then
NYC, NYC, go New York!
And there's every expectation now.
morning.
Thank you.
Crickets, you want to cricket?
And at some point during all these chaos, I finally made it to B&H. Honestly, if you're a photographer or videographer in New York, this place is heaven for you. But it's also basically dangerous for your wallet. But after all the storage problems lately, I finally bought the hard drive and memory cards I needed for YouTube and video editing. And the total ended up being around $1,000.
21. Please proceed to.
This is a Brooklyn-bound C local train.
I moved to New York from Kazakhstan a really long time ago. I was super young, and honestly at first I didn't even know if I would stay here permanently. I just wanted to experience something different and see how life would go. And somehow I ended up building my life here. I grew up in a small village, but over time I realized that I'm probably the type of person who actually needs a big city around me. I need movement, I need busy streets, I need things happening all the time. I think if I stayed somewhere too quiet for too long, I would honestly get bored really fast. And New York definitely keeps you busy. But after living here for more than a decade, I got really used to this lifestyle. You get used to walking everywhere, carrying coffee around, running for trains, planning your day around subway schedules, randomly spending money all day without even realizing it. At first, New York feels really expensive and overwhelming. Then after a while, your brain starts treating it like normal life. And then, when you travel somewhere else, you suddenly realize how expensive New York actually is compared to most places. Even simple things here adds up so fast. Coffee, grocery, subway, beauty appointments, going out to eat, random daily expenses. You leave your apartment for a few hours and somehow money is already gone. And honestly, don't even get me started on apartment prices in New York. That probably needs a completely separate video by itself. But at the same time, this city also gave me experiences and opportunities I never imagined when I was younger. And one thing I really like about my work now is the freedom. Of course, there are stressful days too, running around the city, carrying equipment, editing late at night, busy schedules. But I also like that if there is a parade, cherry blossoms, Christmas decorations, or something exciting happening in New York, I can block my schedule and go experience it. And honestly, that's one of my favorite things about living here. The city constantly changes. One week it's flowers everywhere, the next week there is a parade, then rooftop season starts, the summer events, the holiday season. New York never stays the same for too long. And I think that's probably why I still enjoy living here after all these years. I also realized I'm not really somebody who likes sitting at home all the time, so I like exploring, walking around the city, finding random places, trying new food, seeing what's happening around New York. Even after all these years, there are still places I never visited. And that's actually crazy when you think about it. Sometimes my days are exhausting, and by night time my back hurts, my feet hurts, and I'm completely done from carrying cameras and running around all day. But at the same time, I know I would probably be bored living a slow, quiet life right now. And I think New York kind of become part of my personality after living here for so long. The fast walking, the busy schedules, the coffee, the subway, the constant movement. You slowly become part of the city without even realizing it.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still a hill, but the other hill is
I get some ananas from my source on that.
She came to the meeting and she said, no snatch. He would have hated that. She said, just make it a garden bed. Instead of all the foam.
Questa foto vale più del tiro che abbiamo pagato.
So this morning I had another session in Central Park, and actually they were filming a movie here, which was really fun to see. There were cameras and crews around the park, and honestly that's one of the reasons New York feels so different from other places. You randomly walk into things like that all the time. I wanted to stop and watch longer, but I had to run again because after Central Park I needed to get all the way to Dumbo, to Brooklyn for another session.
This is a Brooklyn-bound C local train. The next stop.
Nice.
So photo session turned out really cute, and my clients actually gave me a little gifts, which was super sweet. And honestly, moments like that make such a difference when you're tired and running around the whole city all day. After that, after my session, I grabbed another latte because at this point, coffee is basically part of my personality. Then back to the subway again. Sometimes I really think New Yorkers spend half their life underground waiting for trains. Later I went back towards Times Square because I needed to film some content, and after that I ended up again in Dumbo area near Brooklyn Bridge Park. That place still feels unreal to me. When I was younger living in Kazakhstan, I used to see New York in movies and online videos, and Dumbo was always one of those places that look almost fake to me. And now I'm walking there for work, which is honestly still crazy to think about sometimes. And that day it was cloudy and foggy, which made the skyline looks even cooler. So then I finished my session in Dumbo area, and I had to go back to 34th Street in Manhattan. So now we're walking to check out the new Primark on 34th Street because everybody has been talking about it. So let's just walk around. We're gonna pass Macy's. We are on 33rd Street. We need to walk one more block and then we're gonna see Primark.
Okay.
So I arrived to Primark and there was already a line outside. And they actually had really cute New York souvenirs, clothes, kids stuff, men, women's, home stuff, pretty much everything. It's a nice, cheap store, affordable. So today you are coming with me to do my nails, because maintaining nails in New York is honestly a whole experience by itself. So I do Russian manicure with hard gel because my natural nails are super thin, and prices in New York for that can easily go from around $150 to $250 depending on the place. But I actually found a spot that's a little cheaper, so which honestly is considering a pretty good deal in New York.
So, but first we need to run to the store. I need to get something, and then we're gonna go to do my nails. So a quick stop by Ultra Beauty because I recently removed my eyelashes extensions after having them for years. Now I'm still getting used to my face without them. I kept looking in the mirror feeling like something was missing, but at the same time I wanted to give my natural lashes a little break. So now I'm basically trying to find a mascara that can save my life. Very important mission. But I also don't want to like use chemicals on my eyes.
Okay, so
like the more organic the better, yeah.
You want it kind of like vegan, right?
Yeah. Hello.
Oh, yeah.
How much is that? 57. 60. So let's talk about nails. Even though there is so many nail salons and nail artists in New York, it's still really hard to find somebody who truly understands what works for your nails and what works for your hands and nail shape. My natural nails are very white, and for years I was going to different nail artists trying to find the right shape that would actually make my hands look more elegant. So, and then finally I found this girl. She's actually the one who suggested the shape and even the color for me. So I'm really glad that I found her. Later that night I got invited to an event at the Kingsby Hotel rooftop at the Lookout Bar. And nights like that are always fun because you meet so many random people in New York, content creators, photographers, people working in fashion, restaurants, media. The rooftop was beautiful too. Drinks, food, music, skyline view, Empire State Building glowing at night. Very classic Manhattan atmosphere. We stayed here for a while, talking, creating content, hanging out, and it was a really fun night.
Check, check.
then later I walked back outside, and this is also the side of New York that feels very real. 1 minute you are at the rooftop event with beautiful skyline view, and a few blocks later you see somebody sleeping outside near the subway. That contrast exists everywhere in the city, and I think that's one of the reasons New York feels so intense sometimes. So many completely different lives happening right next to each other. Anyway, ending the night walking through Manhattan with the Empire State Building glowing between the streets still feels really beautiful, and even Primark looked pretty at night. Good night, New York.